Hello, RJ Story Guy, and last time I left you really hanging. The sisters, after making their homemade portal, had passed through it and just peeked out into the Rio Grande Valley. So let's see what happens next. We're now at chapter 11. The pair looked to their left and right and behind and discovered their faces were peeking out of the portal of the Rio Grande while their bodies were in the turmoil of the portal. Pita started to step out into the valley when Pia pulled her back. "What? Don't you want me to step out into this?" Pia's look stopped her cold. "Oh, you're right. What if we couldn't pass back through this side of the portal?" "But surely we could." Pia's look was a mixture of sisterly concern and extreme sibling irritation. She conveyed to Pita they could not chance being stranded in the Rio Grande Valley on a mere possibility. They had to be certain. "Okay, sister, I will stay here. But what are you going to?" Pia disappeared back into the billowing darkness of the portal, partially emerged on the Valle Abajo side, got a firm grip on the framed glass and the half-empty jug of water, and took them with her through the portal. Partially re-emerging on the Rio Grande side, she awkwardly leaned forward and placed the glass pane and jug on the ground in front of the cottonwood tree. It was at this point she realized the glass had lost its wooden frame when it passed through the portal. However, the jug was intact. The sisters did not fully realize that wood, as dead organic matter of the Valle Abajo, was unable to pass through, while the pottery jug was pure earth and could pass through, still containing the water. Only the living bodies of those special individuals such as Teresa, Pia, and Pita could pass through, besides the pure earth, air, fire, and water of both valleys. Giving her sister a look to stay put, she stepped fully into the sunlight of the valley. She turned around and tried to re-enter the portal next to her sister, but it was only met by the air of the valley, while Pita looked at her, a disembodied face and shoulders floating in the air. "Okay, Pia, you've shown we must use the glass and water to re-enter, but what if it doesn't work on this side? There's not enough water to drench the glass 3 more times just to see if it works now and again so we can return to the valle." Pia smiled sheepishly. They would still have to take a chance, but at least it was a good one with their glass and water here when they were ready to return. She reached out and led her sister fully into Teresa's valley. Pita stepped out and walked around, marveling with Pia at the texture of this new world. "I never realized how much detail we missed when we visited this place in our dreams," Pita said out loud. "The dirt, the roughness of the bark of the tree, the bright sun, creating millions of shades of color, light and shadow." Pia drew random patterns in the reddish sand. "This place is everything our world is, but now I don't feel like a flea. It seems not to be the giant place we thought. In fact, the West Mesa and the mountains to the east seem small in comparison to the Valle Bajo." Pia stood, pointed to the northeast with a nod, and began walking as Pita followed. They immediately passed through the ring of darkness also surrounding this tree, just as they had in the corresponding spot in the Valle Bajo. Coming out of the darkness, they paused, then continued northeast to eventually cross the river on the narrow bridge by the village Isleta and then travel south to Teresa's Peralta. This was the same route they had followed in dreams when they flew over, but now it would be at least a half-day's walk under an increasingly warm sun. When the thirsty sisters reached the river, they drank, even though it was the color of pinto bean soup. Refreshed, they crossed the bridge as an Isleta Indian with a burro loaded with fresh ears of corn began crossing from the opposite side. As the two parties neared each other, the sisters noticed the man became pop-eyed at their approach. He hastily jerked the halter of his burro and pulled the beast back the way he had come and off to the right several paces. He watched, fascinated, as the sisters crossed and headed onto the wagon road running north to Albuquerque and south to Peralta. "Apparently," Pia said to her sister, "we are thought to be women of special powers even in this world of logic. This man made believe we were witches instead of curanderas." Not wishing to frighten anyone else, they tramped a few paces away from the road among the weeds and willow bushes rather than walking out in the open. Meanwhile, Teresa, who was headed to the bar ditch along a road through Peralta to empty a tub of gray laundry water, sensed a presence. Looking around, she saw only old Senora Garcia and Senora Sanchez going down the road for lunch at their niece Linda's house. "Hello, Teresa. God bless you," Senora Garcia called out. "I can smell the fresh green chili stew coming from Linda's," Teresa replied. "Have a good lunch." She watched as the two old ladies went through Linda's kitchen door. No, they weren't giving her the creepy tingle down the back of her neck. Someone or something else was watching, and it wasn't a neighbor or a stranger. From a row of weeds nearly waist-high at the rear of her property 100 yards away, she heard rustling, as if a large dog was nosing about for a gopher. Let's continue on to chapter 12, where the Siblet story is interrupted. As if jerking awake, Dawn suddenly became alive. Wait a minute, who cares about some dog? That portal place. That's like here at the casita. The darkness. Hell, that's like that nothingness by the cottonwood tree as I was driving up. He marveled. So that's the point of your story? Something strange going on here? Of course, I don't believe any of that shit you're talking about, ladling out all this business about a Curandetta sisters reaching across different planes of existence. That's fantasy story bullshit. Still, what happened to me was weird. I'm thinking I was having some kind of post-stress reaction or withdrawal from not drinking in a couple of days. The sibilant voice took charge again. That is part of my point. But you must realize this is no fantasy. There is an intersection of two valleys that exist in this place. One of a simpler way of life, the other your own world. But the peacefulness of the Valle Bajo where Pia and Pita lived is gone. Hard times have come and the residents of that valley are not capable of meeting that challenge. They are willing but unable to resist the Sorais. Yeah, you mentioned them. So what can these Sorais do to make life miserable for the good people of the Valle Bajo, or whatever you want to call that little pipe dream? You would not think this is fantasy if you were to visit there. And it's only a few steps away. Are you man enough to step into this so-called pipe dream? The voice asked. Yeah, and are you full of shit? This is some kind of joke or trick. Do you have something to do with that bitch Queen Bess, my soon-to-be ex-wife? So you are afraid. Just try to pass through the portal. If you must know, Pia and Pita just passed through their imported portal, and then they returned to the Valle Bajo, proving the common elements of earth, air, water, and fire could pass through in either direction. So you have nothing to lose. And nothing to gain but a bloody nose and multiple gash wounds, you son of a bitch. As I said, okay, smartass, I'll call your bluff. But you better run fast, because if I catch you, I'm not only going to kick your ass, I'll sue it too. There was a pause of several seconds. Are you always this pleasant? Don mumbled something about pompous butthead, stood up and looked around, still trying to see who he had been talking to. Nothing. With his luck, it was all an auditory hallucination. More evidence he needed to commit himself to professional counseling. He sighed, lowering his resistance to the smooth voice. I'm no fighter. Hell, I can't even do well in a bar fight. There is no other hope. Believe me, I don't have much confidence in you myself, from what I've seen of you so far. Thanks a hell of a lot, Don muttered. Anyway, that's not my job. I'm a being of both worlds, and so here I am, sent on an errand by the elder of the Nomen. They will be able to tell you the story of the Tower of Il Serrohe. Tower of what? No more. Pass through the portal and I will take you to the place of homes where the Nomen live. But out of the darkness, a flurry of leather wings came at his face, and behind him, what sounded like a splash of water against glass. Oh, that damn bat, I thought he had left. Blind in the pitch-dark night, Don covered his face with his hands to avoid bat claws digging into his eyes. He stumbled backwards, then braced himself against the wall. He felt dampness for only a moment. Still off balance, he fell through the glass, but felt like he was falling through a blanket of syrup, followed by a blast of numbing electricity. He saw a flash of light ranging the spectrum, while a million pairs of leather wings took flight. Again he tried to dodge the unseen bats, but he had no body to command. His sight was blurred as the smell of wet earth, burning wood, and ozone filled his senses. Whoa, I guess Don went through the portal. Let's find out more about that the next time as we continue with Chapter 13. Until then, I'll see ya. Bye.